Welcome to the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics podcast. I'm your host, Jason Brenninger, and you are listening to episode number 2 for the song In Love, which was the second track off of Prince's debut album. And this is the song that we're going to be discussing today, the lyrical content of In Love, and trying to get a feel for where Prince was at with this particular song. In Love's a very straightforward track from a lyrical standpoint. I think that it's, the song itself is funky. You've got this disco feel to it. It's very upbeat, and the lyrics are what I consider very standard. Boy meets girl, boy wants hard to obtain girl, can't get her attention type lyrics. That seems to be the narrative going on with this particular song. And being that Prince was a teenager at the time that he wrote this track, I think it's a pretty common theme that's a lot of young men of that age feel like a lot of women are unattainable, or that they don't have whatever it is that that particular woman is wanting in a man. A lot of insecure young men at that age, at least I know I was. Prince, it was Prince, so I'm sure he had some certain level of confidence, but at the same time, he's human as well, and I imagine that he had crushes on girls and women when he was younger that went unrequited. And my thought is that it's probably a very similar feeling that most of us have, regardless of the fact that it was Prince. So if we're looking at the lyrics, there seems to be a hint of desperation going on. Ever since I met you, baby, I've been wanting to lay you down, but it's so hard to get you, baby, when you never come around. He's horny. He wants to meet this girl. He's thinking sexual thoughts of her, of course, but she's hard to get. Every day that you keep it away, it only makes me want it more. Oh baby, just say the word and I'll be at your door. So he's just looking for a sign, just any kind of sign that she's interested. There's a lot of these types of lyrics in this song. Ever since I met you, baby, there's been something inside of me, keeps me wanting you, baby, won't you set me free? Take off these chains, girl, and I'll take off yours. There's no one in the world, baby, that I want to love more. He's really in it with this girl. He's definitely infatuated. I think infatuation would be the appropriate title. It probably should be called Infatuation instead of In Love, based on what I'm reading here of the lyrics. I think what a lot of people, when they're talking about Prince lyrics and they're looking at this song in particular, is the common repeated phrase, I really want to play in your river. So, I think anybody who hears the song, hears that line, they get it. They understand what Prince is going for with this. So, I really want to play in your river is kind of like the first time we hear one of these water metaphors used to describe body parts, specifically female body parts. So it's interesting that this isn't a one-time only thing for Prince. He absolutely does this again and again. In Love is really the first time we get to hear that. We get to hear him do that. A very clever, smart way of sneaking, something a little dirty past the record label or even younger listeners. So through the personification of this water imagery to represent sexuality or sexual characteristics in another human being, I think is a very interesting take. What it is a very early example of Prince using creative imagery to slip a sexual reference by us as the listeners, or a record company, or even the radio. He wants his songs to be played on the radio, but he also is trying to make a point. Like with In Love, he's thinking sexual thoughts of this woman that he's quote unquote in love with. As I mentioned, I think he's really more infatuated with, but that's not the name of the song. It just goes to show how smart Prince was when he was crafting lyrics in order for him to think to himself, hey, I've got something to say. It's not going to be PG. It's probably going to be a little raunchy. How can I do this? How can I do this without being crude? How can I do this without getting censors involved, getting complaints from radio stations that can't play the song or won't play my songs because of it? Obviously he goes much further down that path later on in his career, at the point where he's much more successful, so he can get away with more. But at the time, he's still a fledgling artist, and he's still wanting to express himself this way. And just to me, it's a very smart. The way I look at it, it's a very smart way of handling it. So throughout the lyrics, he keeps talking about how desperate. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but how desperate he is to get the girl of his dreams, or the girl that he's obsessed with, to pay attention to him. He's falling in love, deeper every day. You're breaking my heart and taking me away. So is the woman breaking his heart simply just by ignoring him? Or is this some sort of dysfunctional relationship where they get together and they have a great time, but then she acts, cold to him maybe a day later or a week later, and while his feelings haven't changed at all for her, maybe hers have changed. Maybe she's not as into him as he is. So I kind of get a sense of that a little bit. He's fallen so hard, it's difficult for him to see past any of that, any kind of signals that she might be sending his way, and really just still infatuated, still wanting her to pay attention to him, desperate, like I said before. And I think that what I'm getting from the lyrics is that even by ignoring Prince, or ignoring the protagonist in the song, it's making him want her even more. He's drowning, baby, in his love for you, breaking my heart and taking me away. I just don't know what to say. Her apparent coldness towards him has seemingly made him more interested. That's kind of a common thread with human nature, human sexuality. What can't be achieved is often what we want the most. And I get the sense from the song that he's never even had her. He's never really... Sure, they might be friends or acquaintances, but I don't get the sense that they're lovers. I don't get the sense that they're boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't get the sense that she's really given him that inkling that she's interested in him in that way. But it doesn't matter. He's got the puppy dog look. He's got that look in his eye and that aching in his heart for this girl, and he's got it bad. He's really got it bad. And he doesn't really tell us in the song if he's dating her. I'm looking for clues in the lyrics. Ever since I met you, baby, I've been wanting to lay you down. So they know each other, or at least they've met. Every day that you keep it away makes me want it more. Keeping it away how? By not answering his phone calls, or just by not, once again, giving him the time of day when they do see each other. He really wants to play in her river. Get that. We know he wants to have sex with her. it's pretty clear. Not surprising, since he's falling deeper in love every day. Not the deepest of songs. Not the most. Doesn't have, from a lyrical content standpoint, In Love isn't gonna stand up as being one of Prince's most complex lyrical statements. But it's effective in what it's meant to do. It's effective in terms of it's effective for what it does. It's effective in how it expresses desire, expresses infatuation, expresses what maybe a teenager perceives as love. And I think that's really what this is. He's saying he's in love, but I really don't get the sense that he can be in love with this girl if they've barely even spoken to each other, or she's never given him any indication that she's interested. He sees a pretty girl, he wants to have sex with her. She won't let him, or at least she won't give him any kind of signs that she's interested. And so each day that happens, it makes him more desperate. And in essence, that is how I take In Love to mean. That's what I take out of this song. But what do you guys think? I mean, it's, like I said, it's not the most complex lyrical statement of Prince's career, so I don't think you really have to dig too deep to get to the meaning of this song. It's pretty clear right in here. I did, like I said, I think my favorite part about this song and the lyrics is the water imagery. And it's not just because water imagery is so unique. It's more because this is the first time we've really heard Prince do that, and at such a young age, I think it was really smart of him to do that. And it's not the last time, so he obviously enjoyed it. He obviously thought it was a good idea and wanted to continue doing that. Good song, maybe a little dated from a musical standpoint, but the lyrics stand up for what it's meant to be. To anybody listening to this podcast for the first time, my intent is to go through each one of Prince's songs chronologically and dissect the lyrics as much as possible, just from my own interpretation. But I think that I am definitely open to hearing other people's interpretations. And maybe with In Love, there won't be a lot of different interpretations out there. As I mentioned, it's pretty straightforward. But as we go further down the Prince discography, there's going to be songs that have much more complex lyrics that can be interpreted in multiple ways. And I'm going to offer my take on it, but I'm definitely interested in hearing other people's takes as this journey continues. So thank you for listening. This has been the Press Rewind Prince Lyrics Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Brenninger. Episode 2, In Love, from Prince's debut album, For You. Please reach me at pressrewind.net if you have any comments or suggestions, or just want to say hi. Until next time, thank you, everyone.